Welcome to IB Unplugged, a Cognity podcast for IBDP educators that tackles your submitted challenges and questions by connecting you with experts and peers who share their ideas and stories from real classrooms. Whether you're a seasoned educator or new to the IB world, each biweekly episode and guest aims to equip you with practical tips and positive inspiration, helping you teach with more confidence, creativity, and joy. So whether you're walking your dog or commuting to school, hit play and join a community of educators ready to learn, laugh, and thrive in your IB journey. Welcome to our new podcast, IB Unplugged. I'm John Patton.
And I'm Courtney Marlene.
And we're really excited to take this time to just introduce you to the podcast. What's it about and what are you going to get from this entire show? So Courtney, the podcast was effectively your brainchild, your idea. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it? Where did it come from? What are we going to get from this show?
Sure. So I work at Cognity. I've been working there for about 8 years now, and I've been able to work with a lot of authors doing kind of the textbook and content side of things. Then I was able to move into working on workshops, webinars, things like that. So I've been able to meet so many amazing people through the IB community and build up this network of just fantastic people that I've been able to have fantastic conversations with. And so it's kind of been in the back of my mind for a long time that I really wanted to do this podcast. I love podcasts personally, so it's a medium that I feel quite strongly is a really powerful tool to be able to connect people. And Katie, our producer, and I were talking for years now about, but maybe we should do a podcast. And it's something that we've just always wanted to do, but we were never able to make it happen and really be able to commit the time and the energy to do it right. Because I think that that's something that we really wanted to make sure that if we did this podcast, it's something that we could do and commit to and make sure that we have this regularity, be able to get the right people on and be able to produce something that's quality and valuable and worth people's time to listen to.
Yeah, because you've done so many different ways of connecting educators, and I think it just makes a lot of sense to get into the podcast here.
Yeah.
It's an exciting show, I think, that we've got going on here.
I think so too. I think we've done so many different mediums. We've done webinars, we've done virtual conferences, we've done in-person conferences, videos, all kinds of things that really bring a lot of value in different ways. But I think that especially over the last year, we've been thinking about webinars, for example, that became this catch-all medium, but we were all listening to them in a different way where, at least personally, I would sign up for a webinar and be like, yeah, I'm going to go. This is going to be a great topic. And then that time would go. And it's this idea of you have to stop what you're doing and interrupt your life for that hour, commit to being there. And then even when I would commit, which was maybe not as often as I would like to, I would have 10 other tabs open and I would be working on other things while I was there. I couldn't focus. But the only medium, at least in my life, that I consistently listen to is podcasts. Yeah,
it kind of integrates a little bit easier into your life, right? It's not like I need to stop and do this thing here, and however or whatever else I'm doing in my life has to stop and be part of this.
Exactly.
Whereas with a podcast, you kind of get to engage as and when you like.
Exactly.
In the times that work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. So why not just kind of take the reins on this on your own and let's do the podcast?
So we talked about this. We decided, all right, we're going to do this, but how are we going to do it well? And one of the most important things for us was that it wouldn't just be me talking the whole time. And so we said, we really want to find a co-host that's somebody that's still very much in the field and somebody that's in the classroom and really brings the same perspectives as a listener. And so we thought long and hard, who could possibly fill this role?
We went through our whole list of people we've ever met. Oh, goodness.
And we ended up with you, John.
We called everybody else on the ticket. Nobody could do it, but came over to me. Yeah.
No, we are very, very lucky and grateful that John agreed to be a co-host. And we think that, you bring a lot of perspective, a lot of background, and that we really felt like you would be a great co-host for this podcast. So,
well, I'm flattered by it. I was excited when you got in touch and said, "Hey, we could do a podcast together." And for me, I'm an educator, kind of dyed in the wool. My parents are educators. My whole family were educators. It's what I studied. It's what my degree work is in, and what I continue to practice and research. To this day. I'm an IBDP coordinator in my school. I'm a university and careers guidance counselor, biology teacher. So I'm constantly constantly involved in education and trying to improve the lives of the young people at my school, as well as the other adults as well, and help us get better as educators in general.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's been fun to like dive into that in my school, but I've constantly been looking for ways to share some of the things that I've been able to learn and to dialogue with other professionals.
Yeah.
And so that's led to webinars and workshops and conferences and all sorts of things. But just as you say, so often a webinar or a workshop, it's kind of isolated to that moment.
Yeah.
So when you got in touch and you were like, hey, we're thinking about doing a podcast where we can talk about education, we can talk with experts in the field. For me, that was super exciting because it's a way of continually creating this professional development that is constantly ongoing. And I think that's one of the biggest advantages of what we can do with this show. Something I'm excited about. So, as we build this show itself, there's ways that you can get involved, right? How, like the overall structure here. Let's talk about that a bit.
Yeah, sure. So when we were thinking about how can we make this podcast as valuable as possible, what should we talk about? Who should we talk to? We always have believed that we're not the ones that have all of the answers. Whenever we were doing...
That's what she believes. I have all the answers.
Exactly. Well, from our end, we don't. And so whenever we've worked with workshop hosts, we always kind of come to them not saying, will you do all the work for us, but what's most passionate for you? What's a topic that you feel like is really going to resonate with the audience? And so then we decided, let's take it a step further and just ask the listeners themselves. So asking you. And so the idea of what we hope to achieve with this podcast is having this regular dialogue with the listeners and hearing, what do you want us to talk about? Who do you want us to talk to? So as you submit your questions, as you submit your recommendations, your feedback, we're going to use that to evolve the episodes and to evolve the calendar of who we meet with. So the idea is you tell us what is pressing, what is a conversation you want to be part of, what's a topic that you want to learn more about, and we'll find the best people in place to be able to at least start that conversation. We hope to be able to have a nice balance between some really practical, applicable tips that's kind of real classroom experience, but also starting interesting conversations around it, being able to take the time that maybe you don't necessarily get to in your day-to-day to think a bit more critically about what you're doing. So each episode we're gonna release every 2 weeks. The episodes are gonna be about 45 minutes. So hopefully that's a nice amount of time for your commute, your cooking, whatever it is in your life that you usually listen to episodes. And be able to, really break down some of the questions that you submit and hopefully give you some meaningful tips, tricks, things to think about as we go along throughout your day.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you're subscribing to a supportive community, right? It's IBDP educators, and we know how it goes. Like, sometimes the IBDP can be a bit overwhelming, and you feel like, I've just got to get through all this content, and I just got to make this work for my students so they can take some exams. But, ultimately, teaching is a fun thing to do. And dare I say, teaching the IB diploma program it's a hugely rewarding experience.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do with this podcast is really kind of reinfuse that joy and bring in that creativity and build a little bit more confidence around like using the strategies that we talk about in your daily practice as well. So the goal is just to help educators get better at what they want to do and listen to tips that are constantly there to help them improve.
Exactly. So that's what we're hoping to do. We are definitely relying on you to give us ideas, advice, questions, of course, and let us know how we can make this as valuable for you as possible. I'm really excited. I think John is too. We have fantastic guests already lined up that we are really excited to talk to and learn from. And we just really hope that this can be a great way to build your community, have positive inspiration for your classroom and for just feeling good about being an IB teacher, getting a bit more perspectives, more people that you get to learn from, and maybe even have a nice time while doing it.
Have a good time as well. I mean, it's effectively great professional development. I mean, as a workshop leader, you go to these workshops and sometimes they're really useful. I hope like somebody comes to a 3-day workshop and you really want to give them all the tools. So when they go back to their classroom, they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. But that's, as we started with, it's just sort of like this interruption to the day. Yeah. But I think, what we're able to do now is a constant professional development at your own speed. So wherever you're, commuting to work, or if you're just kind of out listening to your podcasts, this gives you a chance to really improve your practice on a daily basis. So it's super exciting. We're glad to be part of it and glad to embark on this journey with you as well.
Exactly. So welcome to IB Unplugged.